I think the other important message is we're not doing anything different with coronavirus than we would do with influenza, than we would do with pneumonia. It's essentially the same process. It's just a different virus that we're counting. So, and nobody complains about our stats for influenza every year. So,
I hear you. It's amazing that we have a pandemic, BLM riots nationwide, and someone's worried about Joe's beard. Yeah, that's kind of amazing. Another case of worrying about ants when the elephants are breaking down the door. Great job, 2-8 and Joe. I like your beard. That's from, I got a lot of beard comments about Joe, but yeah, there's a lot of things going on right now, and we're worried about what Joe is wearing or whether or not, or looking like facial feature wise. I want to talk about this Joe Paris thing one more time with the beard. Yeah, it's okay. He can have some facial hair. And trust me, guys like Joe and I, we want to hold on to as much hair as we possibly can. So don't look for Joe to trim his beard or get rid of it anytime soon. Besides, wearing a mask, he's out in public like that, you're not going to see much of it anyway.
Isn't exactly the way to do it, is it?
Absolutely. And I mean, we have to be a little bit pragmatic with this. I mean, we cannot fight the fight if we give our enemy the opportunity to either totally negate our argument because acts of violence take place, or is the course of action you're taking actually going to lend itself to what we're trying to achieve? And if it does not, we have to always take a half step back and decide, okay, is this the thing we should be doing to pursue our objective, or is there perhaps a better way?
And while the 1969 visit lasted only a few hours, Park Ranger Ted Stout says it sparked a lasting relationship with NASA that continues to this day.
Since that time, we've had researchers from NASA out here on an annual basis coming out to look at the geology. What they've decided is that we're really a little bit more related to Mars than the moon. And since we're very interested in going to Mars at this point, we're a great analog for many of the different volcanic features that they're finding on Mars.
You're pretty fired up. You're pretty upset. I'm really fired up, but I think that way more important to that is that so many people are scared and so many people are struggling and so many people don't know how to make decisions about their kids, make decisions about their families. And so I was just trying to speak to that from my perspective. I share that point of view. I want to know what's changed from March when you told us it wasn't safe to be in school. What's changed from now until then other than the political situation?
Why are they scheduling a virtual meeting to discuss starting school? Isn't that an oxymoron? I mean, a virtual meeting with parents to see if our children are allowed to physically get together. If the meeting has to be virtual, maybe we shouldn't be sending our kids back to school. That one from Jim in Mountain Home.
So today we're doing okay, but in a week or 2 weeks, if we don't sort of do something to kind of flatten things out, I'm not sure how well we'll be able to manage if the trends continue.
What is the staffing situation like right now at West Valley Medical Center?
We've had quite a few people out sick over the last month. About a third of those have come back positive for COVID. Not all, but 2/3 have not. We've had about 17 come back positive.
Now, August 10th is an important date because that's when high school sports in Idaho really starts rolling. So they want to have a decision before that so student athletes will know their status heading into fall sports. And, of course, COVID plays a role in what fall sports will look like. But that aside, again, supporters of House Bill 500 say that this is about defending women's sports because they believe that transgender women, that they have an advantage over other women. Now, with that said, a big conversation during the legislature session this year was about defining who and who is not cisgender and who is transgender. And some of that came down to some controversial ideas about how you would confirm that. Would it have to be through an invasive medical procedure, an invasive medical examination? Well, today, actually, the state was arguing that the statute in Idaho code, it doesn't mandate that, and that a doctor's note saying that a person is a woman, that would suffice. Now, the ACLU says that piece specifically, they're on board with that. Here's why.
The state seems to suggest that somehow House Bill 500, despite all of the statements that were made in support of it during the session, was actually intended to make it easier for transgender athletes to participate on women's sports teams. I don't think that's what the sponsors intended, and I don't think that's what the bill says. But if indeed the state is willing to agree that Lindsay Hecox and other trans women and girls in Idaho can simply get a healthcare provider's note, then we're okay with that regime for now.
Smokey led by example. Guberith did not. He showed people what you should not do in the forest, which was smoking and leaving campfires unattended, setting off fireworks. So he was really a comedic vehicle to help educate the public.
Yeah, he looks like kind of a dope, like kind of a goof.
He is pretty goofy looking.
The reaction to the goofy Guberith, well, came from just two camps. You either loved him or you hated him. Speaking of the end of the world, some folks out in eastern Idaho are preparing by ordering pizza. Look at this marquee outside of Pizza Pie Cafe in Rexburg. Peggy Jepson sent this one into us. It reads, "The end is near. Get your pizza today. Be a chosen one." Likely referring to the 144,000 people who, according to Vallow and Chad Daybell, will survive the apocalypse that's supposed to be beginning today. Turns out that location of that pizza pie place, it's about a quarter mile from the Madison County Jail where Lori happens to be staying right now. But I don't think she's going to get her pizza delivered from there to her. If the world does end, I should say, tonight, well, pizza does seem like a decent last meal, doesn't it? Maybe the one time you do eat pizza and you don't have to worry about the calories and the carbs.